And we're live. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for coming to the HVAC 2.0 show. And join with us, we've got Reedie, the man, the myth, the legend. And I guess we're going to be going through one of Reedie's latest. Uh-oh. We're having technical issues again. Well, we were going to be going through one of Reedie's last free quotes that he did, but if we can't get the technical issues sorted out, we may not be able to.
Well, anyway, as Reedie's trying to work through that, this is the HVAC20 new client form. And we're going to fill it out. Reedie sample. And this is about a replacement. This contact was a referral. And then when you get to the home, you ask if I might ask a few questions, and then on a scale from 1 to 10, with 0 being no problem and 10 being a big problem, the first question is: parts of my house are uncomfortable or sticky in summer. Is it warmer when you walk up the stairs? Does it feel sticky some days? Do you notice odors or humidity some days? Is any room noticeably warmer than the rest of the house? Is it hard to fall asleep sometimes because of the heat? And you got this slider here, keeps track of your values. And I don't know Reedie's answer here. Can we hear you, Reedie? I think he's going to try and call in. So we're going to use a value of 6 and say bedroom over the garage is hot. Parts of my house are uncomfortable or dry in winter. Do you use a blanket while watching TV? Do you wear slippers because the floor is chilly? Is one room a bit colder than the rest of the house? Do you stop using any rooms because they're too cold in winter? Do you use a lot of lotion because of dry skin? Is there a cold waterfall of air down your stairs? And I'm going to use 4 for this. And I'm going to complain about that bedroom again. And then, are there any health concerns in my home or in the family, such as allergies, asthmas, mold, excessive dust, pests, chemical or mold sensitivities? We breathe 3,000 gallons of air per day, mainly in our homes. Buildings affect our health. For example, childhood asthma has been causally linked to damp buildings. By understanding any health concerns, we're more likely to be able to help. And I'm going to say that this is seasonal allergies. Are there any moisture issues in the house, such as mold or mildew in the attic, basement, crawl space, overflowing gutters, standing water against the foundation, rotted wood, etc.? And we'll call it clammy in the spring. And then any other comments? And this, a lot of times, people haven't been asked a lot of these questions, so their answers aren't the best answers out of the gate, but if they're not happy with their answers, it'll gnaw at them and they'll improve their answers over time, or maybe they'll give additional comments. And this questionnaire is actually designed so you could put it on your website. So it could be a customer intake form that allows homeowners to do this comfort quiz without you. They can do it themselves. And as you can see, it adds up the scores, and then it tells you whether a free quote or a comfort consult is recommended. And with a score of 17, it's sort of a medium score. So a free quote is the industry standard, and it's what you recommend for somebody scoring less than a 12. And a free quote, well, doesn't take 20 to 40 minutes. It takes, what would you say, Tanner? More like 40 to 120 minutes?
Yeah. Depending on how it, like, obviously if you're asking some of these questions and people are like, I have zero problems at all, then you're going to fly through some of these. And the ones where you have people that are saying, hey, I have problems X, Y, and Z, such as, it's clammy in the spring, or, a bedroom over a garage is uncomfortable certain times. It's going to take a little bit more time because, you're going to have to be kind of digging into that to ask, why questions, what's going on, when does it happen, so on and so forth.
Right, right. So you're going to get more and more detail the more the problem bothers them.
Yes.
So in this, well, I'll scroll down a little bit further. Do you have any leaning towards either path of a comfort consult or a free quote? We're going to check free quote. One of the things that we're finding is this free quote process works so well that there are fewer and fewer people signing up for the comfort consult on the initial visit. And part of the way that we set the free quote up is that we tell people that they can always have a comfort consult later if they choose, and that the free quote process does a really nice job of helping them define their ideal HVAC equipment replacement specification. So really, we're helping them build a specification here. And if the house ends up still being uncomfortable afterwards, it's probably not because they made a bad choice on equipment. What we're seeing is, if houses are uncomfortable after doing a good job of specifying equipment, what usually is the case is the house has some problems that need to be addressed. But when I scroll back a little bit, I just want to show people that, if you have a higher score, it'll automatically change the recommendation. So, like, if you have a lot of pain associated with the way that your house lives and performs, you're going to want to encourage people to consider the comfort consult, and then when they decline, say, well, that's fine. We can always come back and do this later. And if the score is really low, it really, people aren't going to want to spend $600 to $1,200 to get a comfort consult if their house is not problematic. I mean, replacing equipment should be done probably once every 10 to 25 years. And so it could be a 15 or 20-year mistake if they get it wrong. But the free quote, what we're seeing with the way it's being used is the likelihood of getting the equipment wrong is dramatically being reduced, because, as you'll see as we go through this, the tool helps homeowners design and specify the best equipment they can afford, and so it's a pivot away from trying to get the cheapest equipment they can find. So they're no longer interested in the cheapest equipment they can find. They're more and more gravitating towards the best equipment that they can afford. And since all we're doing is building their specification, which they can then take to bid if they want to get other prices, that's the point where they would be concerned about price, is after they've clearly defined their ideal specification. So now I'm going to submit this. So this is basically the HVAC20 new client contact form. We're going to hit submit, and it's going to say success, new client created. And here's the new client in the HVAC20 client list. And here are the 4 questions that we just completed, which we can go in and review or edit. And then here's the free quote questionnaire, and here's the comfort consult. So since they're not selecting the comfort consult, they're going for the free quote. We're going to start with the free quote. And so here's the Reedie sample client. And right now, this is how you start the free quote questionnaire. And it really walks you right through every piece of this free quote, so that if you're a new salesperson, you haven't been in HVAC very long, you could hit the ground running with this. Now, we would recommend that you do a couple of role plays like we're doing right now to be familiar with the questions and the flow. And in fact, you probably turn on the hints. So I'll turn that off again. And now I'll turn it back on again. And so this is instructing you, as you walk in, to think about being the guide and not the hero, and have adult relationship with these people, and to follow the script. So you get in, I'm here for a free quote. Is that correct? May I come in? We want to ask permission and let them feel in control. You want to try and get 6 yeses before asking them any questions. Is where I parked okay? Is it okay to put covers on my shoes? If you're carrying something in, which you're probably carrying your computer or your keypad and your iPad, ask if they can hold it while you put your shoe covers on. Don't be uncomfortable being a Columbo. Columbo is part of the Sandler process. And try to build rapport. And then ask if there's someplace comfortable you can sit down for a few minutes. And this is important because if you let them take control at this point, you're going to be there a long time, because they've never, most people have never bought HVAC before. They don't know what's going on, but it's their house, so they feel like they should be in control of this process. But this is a free quote, and it's your process, and you're there for free. So really, unless they want to turn on the clock and start paying you for your time, they need to let you show them what your free quote process is all about. Tanner, do you have any comments or thoughts so far?
One thing, definitely anyone, if you're going to start going, I mean, this is with anything, the hints and all these things, this isn't something that you've never seen it before ever, and you just start reading this while you show up and you're looking down at your, tablet or iPad.
Unless you're Ben Baptist.
Yeah. And so you want to read through you want to read through it to get the gist of what's going to happen before you do it, and then use it as more of a reference rather than a read, word for word type script. Like, really, this is you're asking the questions, but it's a more general idea of here's what needs to be asked. you can kind of switch some of these things up. If you ask certain questions in a certain way, as long as the question is being asked and is being asked with the correct intent, then you can kind of do with it, you know, as you like there, as long as it's actually, being followed and that type of thing. And you know what you're going to be asking before you get there. So that way, you know, you don't want to be just shooting from the hip when you show up.
Right, like I'm doing, because I don't do this.
Yes.
Like, Reedie, do you have anything to suggest? You probably do this more than we do.
I'm not
Was
sure
that
if
Reedie
he's
just coughing? Oh, I guess he's not connected. I thought I heard him coughing. Huh. Okay.
well,
So anyway, um, is there some place we can sit down for a few minutes? You're taking control here. You don't let them drag you around the house. They obviously want to show you their equipment because they think that's what you're interested in finding out about. But with a free quote, you really want to find out about them first. And it's important to find out about them first, in my opinion, because they're going to start telling you things about their equipment. And then when you go see it, if some of the things they tell you about the equipment don't match up with the equipment, it helps you understand where you may have challenges, because you want to be very gentle with somebody who's told you something about their equipment that's wrong. You don't want to put them into a not okay place. So you're going to have to be gentle and maybe even be a little Columbo here also. Um, a lot of times people are sending a what to expect email beforehand, which is going to send them the 2 short videos, which we'll be playing later. Um, and try and help them get up to speed on this decision in advance. And if people watch those videos, you know that you have someone who's very engaged. And if they haven't even opened the email, you know you have someone who's not very engaged. Um, and it's important to know this. And so, did you read the what to expect email about today's visit? Most often you're going to get a no. Hint, upfront contract. Either way, confirm that today's visit is about quoting a new system. And it usually takes 45 to 90 minutes, depending on your needs. It's an industry standard, quote, like for like bid, although there's not really anything like for like anymore with the new equipment. That they're not the same as the old equipment. Um,
it's more size for size.
yeah, yeah. Or we can bid to a specification that you provide. And this probably should be updated, because what we found is this service is really helping people develop their ideal replacement specification. That doesn't mean it's a Rolls Royce, but it means it's the nicest specification that their budget allows.
Mm-hmm.
So, how long did you set aside for this quote so I can respect your time and prioritize what we do? 2 hours. Um, Mind if we go over the answers to your comfort quiz? Nope. Um, this is your opportunity to re-review the comfort quiz if you didn't just complete it. So if you just completed it, then you're going to skip this. Are there any concerns you're hoping your new system might address? This is sort of like the one question.
Yeah.
Were you hoping your new equipment was going to do something that your old equipment didn't do? What might be an answer to this, Tanner?
Um, I guess following in suit with the comfort quiz here, I mean, sounds like they would probably be like, well, I would hope that my bedroom is now would be more comfortable, or it's not as clammy in the springtime.
So sometimes we're going to get some additional information with this question. And this will give you a hint that there's actually a pain that they didn't disclose before, and that's that the equipment was kind of noisy and it came on with a bang.
Yeah, because another thing, when you ask people questions that they've never had asked before, uh, the first answers they're going to give are probably not going to be the best answers. So ideally, if there is something there, and as you go through this and you're asking more questions, new information should come up. So it might be, and it might be something to a question that you've already asked. So don't think that just because you ask it once, then that's good enough. Because you might ask them if there's any problems, and they'll say, "Oh no," and then 30 minutes later they're telling you that, "Oh, actually the equipment's pretty loud. It wakes us up at night when the condenser kicks on. Certain times of the year we don't use this room or blah blah blah." And it's things that they didn't purposely not tell you about. That it's just they did not think about it at the time. They've never had these questions asked. So sometimes it takes a little bit of really thinking about things and you asking questions for them to come to some of these answers.
Yeah, so those questions are putting people on the spot if they've never heard them before.
Yes.
And this is another reason you want to be a little bit Columbo with them, because you don't want them going to not okay, or sort of walking away in their not okayness from where you are. You want to be kind of soft.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then if you want to know more about a comfort consult, this will take you to a YouTube video that you can share with them. And if the free quote converts to a comfort consult, you don't want them anchoring on price. So if they decide they want a comfort consult, you're there today for the free quote. So complete the free quote, build them their ideal specification, get everything completed in free quote, and then schedule the comfort consult. If you don't do this, there's a really good chance somebody will pivot to a comfort consult. You'll schedule for the comfort consult, and then they'll pivot back on you, and you won't have what you need for a free quote. So, you want to get the information for the free quote while you're there, because nothing else is certain. So let's finish collecting the information I need to do your free quote. It'll save us both a bit of time on the next visit. And we find it's best to wait on sending the bid until after the comfort consult, so we don't get you excited about one path only. That happens a fair amount of time and creates frustration for both of us in our experience. Is that okay? And they would say yes here. It's not applicable because this isn't pivoting to a comfort consult. Now, the next questions are pretty important for responsibly avoiding responsibility for the specification that you come up with, because you're not being a paid consultant here. You're actually there for a free quote as a salesperson. So you're wearing your salesperson hat, not your consultant's hat, and definitely not your hero hat. And you'll ask, are there any rebates or incentives that you were hoping to take advantage of? The reason we ask this question is people are going to be aware of the IRA, and you want to make note of that, because in your ideal specification, they may end up needing to see the equipment that is eligible for the IRA or utility program or what have you. Do you mind if I ask you a few other questions? There are some warm-up questions. Are they going to move soon? Getting the best equipment, doing a home performance project. These things may make less sense to somebody who's not going to stay in the house a whole long time. So you'll want to kind of think about it like if this was your mother and you knew she was going to be moving shortly, you probably tell her about the best stuff, but then you'd say, well, since you're planning on moving, you might not want to spend the money on the best stuff, because the new homeowner is going to look at the box in the basement, and they're not going to be able to distinguish between single stage and double stage and 5-stage and variable speed modulating equipment. So you're going to have to get all the incremental benefit of the incremental cost of the better equipment while you live here. And so that's something that you may want to consider, particularly if your budget is constrained. So how long have you lived in the home? Reedie, can we hear you?
Yeah.
How long?
10 years.
How long do you plan to stay?
Indefinitely.
What year was the house built?
It was built in 2008.
How many square feet around ballpark is okay?
Around about 2,000.
1 or 2 story?
It's 2-story.
Basement or crawl space or slab?
It's a slab.
And then this is if you've just moved in recently, I guess. And sometimes you'll ask people if they can delay so that they can live in the house and get an understanding of frustrations and performance. The homeowner's feedback about control problems that they have ends up being extremely useful in understanding causes that you may suspect by doing sort of a cursory look, but that confirmation is, would you agree?
Yes, definitely.
Do either of you work from home, or are you retired?
No, we both still work. We don't work from home.
Okay. And any noise concerns?
Well, the only noise is that the guy next to us has 5 kids, and they're loud.
Okay. So that tells me I might want to dense pack that one wall. Okay, so comfort temperature chart. Where do you generally leave the thermostat in the summer?
So in the summertime, we're usually around 74.
Do you change that during the day or leave it alone?
We just leave it.
Okay, in the winter?
We're usually at about 70.
Okay, and you just leave that too?
Yes.
Okay. Are those set points comfortable?
They're fairly comfortable.
Would you like to have them be a little higher or lower?
I mean, I'm okay with it as it is.
Are they set for energy reasons? They on the border of your comfort?
No.
No. Anybody in the home have allergies, and are they worse throughout in one season or another?
My dog has allergies, and they're that way all year long.
Sneezing. You got a sneezing dog?
Yep.
Anybody have dry skin in the winter?
No one really has dry skin. It's pretty humid here in the wintertime as well.
Okay. Do you have ever had pest issues?
We did have mice. We had them, and there was a hole in the wall where the cable guy drilled a hole right next to the dryer vent where it went out. I sealed that up with foam, and it's all good.
Okay. Mold, mildew, musty smells anywhere in the home, or do odors linger?
No.
Do you know what size equipment you have by any chance?
I think it's 3 tons.
Okay. Most people don't know. So, but I like to ask.
Yeah.
And it's a heat pump.
Yes.
Does it have backup?
It has electric strip heat.
Okay. Before I got here, were you thinking you needed a bigger or smaller or same size equipment?
I thought I might need a little bit bigger.
Why is that?
Well, bigger's better, right?
Sure. I've heard that before. Definitely on my end because my commission goes up. But why would it be better for you?
Well, I just thought that if it got really, really hot or really, really cold, it would stand a better chance of making me feel better.
Okay, so on really cold days or really hot days, does your equipment have trouble keeping up?
On really cold days, not hot ones. On hot ones, it seems to be fine, but really cold days, it brings the heat strip on all the time.
And the heat strips make it uncomfortable or they make it comfortable or
Well, it goes back to that energy question. I guess that I think about those coming on and costing me more money.
okay, so you have a couple of months during the winter where it's expensive.
Yeah, about 2 to 3 months.
Okay. And can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So you remember I told you it was a 2-story house with one system.
Right.
And so we used to have thermostats downstairs and upstairs, but now we don't have thermostats downstairs and upstairs. And the reason why is because it was so noisy that we have them, but I just put it on all zones. So, the guy said to do that. And so what it does is it makes it to where all the zones are going to be the same temperature no matter what. And sometimes that doesn't work out.
Okay. So
Usually that means in the wintertime that the upstairs is boiling and the downstairs is a little chilly.
okay. Okay, that's very helpful. That's very helpful. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now, if we change the equipment and everything stays the same, are you going to be okay with that?
Well, not really, because I want it to be more even.
Okay. So that's going to be helpful because that's probably going to take single stage out of the running as we build your ideal specification. Does that make sense? We haven't gone through the video yet, so if it doesn't, that's totally understandable.
I guess by single stage, you mean that it only has one level.
One level of output. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
When people are saying that the equipment overheats or overcools, oftentimes that's because it's too powerful.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think.
Okay. So have you ever replaced an HVAC system before?
No.
Do you had you been thinking about a budget? Do you have any sense of what they cost these days?
Well, I got a couple other quotes, and one guy told me 5,000. He was just a guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got another quote, and the guy told me 25,000. and there was a bigger company. There's a
Okay.
lot of difference in between those numbers.
Wow. Was that for the same equipment, or were they quoting different equipment, or you're not sure?
I'm not sure. It was different brands, but I don't know. But they might have been quoting the same thing.
Okay.
But it was different brands.
Well, this is wonderful because this is one of the reasons we've evolved to this process, because that to me does not sound like apples to apples. Does it to
No.
you?
No, it can't be.
It can't be. It can't be. Even though one's a big company and has to worry about their reputation and everything, and the other guy's, chucking a truck with license plate warranty, that's a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Or tail light warranty. So if you had a magic wand and could change anything in your home, I think I already know the answer to this, but what would it look or feel like?
I just want to make the house be more even in temperature.
Okay. Now, this is where we start to get into the videos. There is a common but little known problem that can lead to early failure of new systems. And most people aren't aware of it, but Nate Adams put together a really great 60-second video. And I'm going to run that for you. And there's a quick and inexpensive test that we can run to see if it's a problem for your system. So can I show you this video?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
In 2019, the Department of Energy mandated a more efficient type of fan motor in all new furnaces. This well-intentioned policy is causing problems only 2 years later. Here's why. Your furnace fan and ductwork function the same way your heart and blood vessels do. Blood pressure should be just right, but often it isn't. If blood pressure is too high, you could have a heart attack. On your HVAC system, blood pressure is called duct pressure, which is the pressure inside the ducts. The mandated motors are far more sensitive to duct pressure than the old type. If the duct pressure inside your system is just right, it will be quiet and use very little energy compared to the old motor. If duct pressure is too high, your new, more sensitive fan motor may be overworked and die in less than 3 years, which can cause an expensive repair. Even if the fan doesn't die early, they are often noisy and expensive to operate. Most systems have high duct pressure and carry some risk of early failure. If you are considering replacing your HVAC system, ask for a duct pressure test from your HVAC 2.0 contractor to understand your risk and how to reduce it.
So we offer this duct pressure testing for how much, Reedie?
50.
Okay. So for $50, we can take this duct pressure test. Would you like me to do that now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
That's a good signature.
So there are 6 things every HVAC. What was duct pressure reading?
It was 0.8.
0.8. Okay. And was it a 3-ton?
Yes.
Okay. So there's 6 things every HVAC system should be able to do. Every car does 5. Most homes do none. So we're going to watch this next video. And then I'd like your feedback on the things that are important to you, because those are the things we're going to emphasize when we build your ideal specification.
Okay.
So this is just under 5 minutes.
If you're watching this, you're probably considering a new heating and cooling system for your home. A well-installed system is likely to last 15 to 20 years. If your new HVAC was a newborn, it would be graduating high school before you buy another one. If you choose incorrectly, typically the only way to fix it is to replace it again. That may sound scary, but you already know everything you need to know about HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning from your car. Every car with air conditioning can do 5 of 6 things that every HVAC system should be able to do, but most home HVAC systems can't do any. Let's take a quick look at what those are. First is load matching. By far, the most important factor in creating a comfortable space is matching the amount of heating or cooling the HVAC puts out to what the home or car needs at that moment. Every car can vary how much heating or cooling it puts out, as well as the fan speed. Meanwhile, over 80% of home systems are oversized, single-stage or single-speed systems, meaning they are either on or they are off, making temperatures race up and down, which leads to poor comfort. Second is filtration. When you drive, there's a lot of garbage in the air. Car and truck exhaust, pollen, road dust, and so forth. Your home needs to keep those same things out, plus filter out pollutants inside your home. Every car has a high-performance filter that helps reduce pollutants getting into your car. Most homes have mediocre filters with far worse performance, where the pressure inside the duct system is too high to use high-performance filters. Third is dehumidification. Typically, the most important factor in creating a healthy environment in your car or home is keeping the humidity in a healthy range. By pushing the AC button in your car, you can have dehumidification 24/7, 365, but very few homes have this capability. Keeping humidity levels in check reduces the spread of disease, helps prevent mold, mildew, and odors. And this is particularly important in spring and fall when the air is damp, but not much cooling is needed. Fourth is fresh air. Every car can bring in outside air and heat, cool, or filter it. This helps the air smell fresh. It reduces the spread of airborne diseases and is an important factor in indoor air quality. Few homes have this capability. Fifth is mixing. In your car, you can mix and stir the air to keep you comfortable depending on the season by sending it to your face, feet, or the windshield. Mixing the air reduces room-to-room temperature differences in your home and can provide continuous filtration and fresh air as well. Most homes have an inefficient fan motor that makes this noisy and expensive to do. Sixth is humidification. Adding moisture to the air is the only thing that your car can't do. Dry air is uncomfortable, it leads to dry skin, increased dust, and can promote the spread of viruses. Every HVAC system should be able to do these 6 functions: load matching, filtration, dehumidification, fresh air, mixing, and humidification. Every car can do 5 of the 6 functions of HVAC well. Most home systems can't do any. In case having control over some or all of these conditions is something you want your new system to be capable of, work together with your HVAC 2.0 contractor to choose the path that works best for you. If you'd like to learn more about the 6 functions of HVAC, see the HVAC 101 guide linked below, or ask your HVAC 2.0 contractor about it.
Yeah, there's a chapter that goes into this more in depth if the client wants to read about it. So, did any of your comfort quiz scores change from what we discussed after looking at these 2 videos?
Yeah, they did.
Can you tell me more?
Well, when I was telling you about the room, the upstairs, downstairs, I told you about that, but the more I think about it, watching this video, there's no load matching and there's no real mixing. It really is just on or off. And as for filters, we just got the cheap filters that you buy from Walmart. And it does get a little dusty in here from time to time.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that, because that'll help me do a better job of building your ideal specification. And we'll see that when we get down there. So I'm going to finish collecting the information I need to do your free quote. It'll save us a bit of time in the next visit. If it's find if it's best to wait on sending the bid until after the comfort. Oh, okay. This is another pivot to comfort consult. That's it for the interview portion of the visit. Is there anything that I've missed or anything else that you've thought of?
No.
Okay. So now we go to the equipment measurement section. And how much of this do you use, Reedie?
I use all of it.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. So you put everything in the indoor unit
Yeah.
and the
I
outdoor
just go
unit?
through it piece by piece.
Okay. Electrical service too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the static pressure worksheet.
Yeah.
We're gonna enter that. That's 0.8, you said?
Yes.
Huh. Oh,
Yeah. I don't think you can. I think you're gonna have to
okay.
do it.
So help me out with this.
So go to system, type, put heat pump. Yeah. And then you can put horizontal right. This right here just put the measurements in, but the downstairs part is the static.
Okay.
I mean, not the downstairs part.
Okay.
Yeah, it's important because my filters are in filter grills, and they're not 4 inches thick.
Right.
Where I live at, most of them aren't 4 inches thick. Most people just have filters in the filter grills.
Okay. So what do we do here? Nothing?
Usually what I do is I make both of those numbers the same, unless
Okay.
they have a filtration device.
Give me the numbers.
0.4, and then 0.4, and then 0.4.
Okay. Beautiful. Any notes?
The only time I put notes is if I want to. I take a picture when I'm doing the static pressure. I take a picture on my phone because that's the piece I have on there. But I also take a picture of what the airflow is in the book, and I write it down there. And I write if it's a wet coil, dry coil, whatever.
Okay. Now we're going to go to, so I had trouble with this, so I think there are still bugs.
Mm-hmm. I have trouble with this sometimes too. It's kind of like what we talked about.
Okay. So I'm going to save the data entry, go back to the client, and go back into the measurements. And it's pre-populated now.
Right.
And that's what your experience has been?
Yeah, but see where it says select template up there? What I usually do, my template is options. And it just goes, I just have that same kind of thing. I don't put good, filter, basic, fresh air, plus dehumidifier. I put good, better, best, fantastic. And, these things in them. But if you notice, you see it's a little backwards too, because it says good filter and then basic, and really good filter ought to be in a different place.
Like this?
Right. Yeah, right.
Okay, and this is the install.
Mm-hmm.
Anything change here?
See, I put the price in there. The only one that says included is just like you got the good, but I just put the price instead of basic plus whatever. For me, it's just better to put the price.
Okay, so
because it's a template. I mean,
right.
it's not
Sort of
like
like that.
Yeah, right.
And then, do I need to hit save every time I do this to
That's
have a
what I
look at
do.
the saving?
After this, I go down there and I hit save data. And then what I'll do is go back down to the next one, pick the equipment, and same thing.
Oh, so these are all crosswise.
Yeah, yeah. Also, another bug that I've found is that you can't price it like it was high to low. It's going to be low to high. And I have a template for this too. So I got, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And on the half tons, I just put 2.5, even though it might be a 3 ton or whatever.
Okay.
Just for simplicity's sake.
So we get rid of the basic. This would be a range 2, wouldn't it? Like,
Yeah.
well, and then save data entry.
Yeah.
Okay. Go to. Looks like it saved it.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the only other thing you got to do is the ranges now.
Range.
The report range. It's down below.
Oh, okay. Right here.
Yeah.
And I like this. Do not, under any circumstances, tell them what size to buy. These fields are here if you're required in your jurisdiction to do a load calculation. In that case, run 2 loads, one very tight and the other very loose. Ask them to pick their size or to buy a comfort consult. Well, so that needs to probably be updated to lean towards the green.
Mm-hmm.
And explain that in the red or in the orange, you're still oversized for that size house.
Right.
And so if you end up fixing the house later, you're going to have to replace the equipment again, probably. Because the better you make the house, the more oversized the equipment and the more uncomfortable and short cycling occurs, typically. So what heating system size do you want to show here?
I just go low. It's 2,000 square feet. I'd say 24,000 BTUs, and I would go up to 48,000.
And what's the current size?
Oh, so
36.
Yeah. Now, do you put the heat strips in there as well? Because if you put the heat strip,
yes,
it's 53,000.
Okay. And then the cooling,
I would put 18 to 42. And it's 36. Yeah.
And is there anything in this? Yes.
Yeah. You know what I do on that is I always put the lowest that's on the manufacturer's data plate, which I know is going to be 0.2. And I just leave that 1.5 right there.
And what about here?
0.8. That's what it was.
Okay. Do you do a warning?
No, because whenever I do, it doesn't show up.
Okay. And then save data entry?
Yep.
Thank you for doing this, Reedie. This is
Oh, yeah.
really great. Okay, what next?
Well, the next you go back up.
Free quote or back up
Yeah.
here?
Yeah. I never have went to the free quote client thing. I just always go to the client.
Okay, Klein.
Yeah, and then right back to the free quote questionnaire. Oh, you want to do the report?
Do we need to do more here?
Go back down, because we go all the way to where it says that button right there. So see, there's the last part. Well, you need to go back to where you were.
Back
The
to
button you pressed just took you to the same page we were just at.
so I want to
go back there.
measurements.
No.
Oh boy. Okay.
That
quote
right, yeah,
questionnaire.
right there. And then go down until you get the button, because there's a few questions after that. See, there they are. Return to the kitchen table.
Okay. Return to the kitchen table after the equipment measurement section.
Right.
Are you planning to make this decision now, or can I have the ability to send you my quote later?
I'd kind of like to make it as quick as I can.
Okay. And now, do you have a new budget in mind for this project?
Well, with what I want, I think it's going to cost more than $5,000, and I think it's probably going to be somewhere in the $20,000 to $25,000 range.
Do you ask this question? The most expensive, least expensive?
No, because I always just pick for them. I'm going to put the least expensive first.
Okay. How do you plan on do you ask this question? How do you plan on funding it?
Yeah, and they usually, and I ask them, do you want to do check, cash, financing, credit card? And they'll tell me right then and there.
Okay, and which do you want to choose for this one?
Financing, contractor financing.
Okay.
And then you give me the quote.
Okay.
You got to save the form.
And now you go to the free quote report.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm on the a la carte plan. And
Excuse me.
neither of you guys are, but I've heard that this is useful to let the homeowner see, if you're on the a la carte plan, that you're going to purchase this report.
Right.
Right. And that it costs you $10.
Right.
Because that builds a level of reciprocity. Is I just paid so that we could look at this report. And these are the answers to your 4 questions. With a total score of 13, and you selected to do a free quote, even though that's a sort of a crossover point. And this is your heating system size, which is 53,000 BTU currently, and houses of similar size typically have a load range of between 24 and 48,000 BTU. And in fact, we break that up into green, yellow, and red, because on the right-hand side, this equipment is generally oversized for those houses.
Mm-hmm. So mine's really oversized.
Yeah, and so if you're going to be guessing at size, we encourage you to lean towards the green, even though that's less expensive to get smaller equipment. Because what we found is oversized equipment tends to short cycle and create all the imbalances that you expressed concern over. Now, if we get better equipment, we're going to have more variability of output. And so you're a little bit safer if you want it to be sort of in this area, because it'll have the ability to drop down right over here. Like this is mild temperature days, not even on your chart.
Mhm.
And if you can have equipment that delivers output in those mild temperature days, you have much better uniformity. So anyway, this is your current air conditioning size. This is your current heat size. And this probably helps you understand why you were having those temperature imbalances you were mentioning.
Mhm.
So without further information, the industry standard is changed same size for same size unless the homeowner specifies different. An accurate load calculation to determine the right size equipment for your home is best done with energy use, interview, blower door test, basically the whole HVAC20 comfort consult. And the problem with equipment of the current size that you have, besides the comfort issues, is it requires a lot of airflow and you're out of specification with your ductwork. Now, I'm not opposed to selling you $10,000 to $12,000 worth of ductwork, but I will warn you that fixing the ductwork so that oversized equipment operates within specification in your house generally doesn't solve comfort issues. Whereas downsizing the equipment oftentimes goes a long way to fixing the ductwork so that you don't need all brand new ductwork. Maybe we just modify the return, give you a little bit better flow at the return. But that's up to you. And if you're looking at at the smiley faces, really, you said you wanted good filtration, which is this smiley face here. I sometimes think when people say they want good filtration, they also want fresh air. I'm not sure we discussed that.
Mhm.
But it feels to me like any of these three, you'd be pretty safe with. Is there anything that you want me to change about your specification before we print the report?
I would like to go back up to the load range thing.
Okay.
Okay, so you remember when we were talking about the heat and you said the green is kind of the best way to go. And if you get good equipment, then you could even go beyond the green because it's not really going to be like on or off. Is that the same way with the cooling? Because, I got a heat pump.
Yes,
And
that's a really great question. So if you were to get, say, a 2-ton, because that's in the likely load range is 2-ton, heat pump that was either 5-stage or variable, you're going to have a 369 3-stage backup heat on top of that.
mm-hmm.
And so that's, what is that, Reedie? Another 24,000 BTU?
No, it's 30 10 kW is 34,000 BTUs. So it's
30. Okay.
yeah, it's
So
like
that's like
30,000.
11, that's 11, 22, and 33,000 BTU on top of the 24,000. So you're gonna have 50,000 total if you ever needed it,
Right. No matter what.
no matter what. But you're going to live down here with the heat pump itself is going to be 24, and it'll range all the way down to 5,000 BTU. So it'll run down as low as here. And this
Okay.
and the heat pump just is your air conditioner just running in reverse. So it's the same for cooling. Here for heating and here for cooling. If you get the 5-stage. Does that, did I explain that in a way that is understandable?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great way. Just stepping out of character a little bit. I never thought about going to the bottom end. I always said it, but I didn't say it as eloquently as you just did, because it is true. Most of the time, they're going to be running in that lower end, and
Right.
that's the way to say it.
Right.
That's exactly the way to say it.
Well, and you want to get them to the point A to point 3 at least most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if that person could probably do a 3-ton, they got 2.5 ton of ductwork on a 2,000 square foot house. You know, they might run up here if it ever hits 5th stage, but it probably wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're like 95% of your run time is going to be in here, right?
Yeah.
So
then,
now we go back and we go to the PDF.
yeah.
And here's the report.
And so
And this gets sent with a follow-up. So at this point, you either price it if they want to make, well, I guess we should finish.
yeah, you got to still go over the install and the equipment.
Right. Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
We'll switch roles.
Yeah. Oh, you want me to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here's the story. We know you wanted better filtration. So that's going to take you to at least the better, because the good is real just basic stuff. And you can see the smiley faces and the frowny faces. MERV 11 isn't that great, but it's better than what you have. If that's what you're interested in, and you're not really interested in fresh air or anything like that, the dehumidification, you're not really interested in that, then you should stick with the better. If you want, the best or fantastic, which is a whole lot better on the filtration, and you've at least got fresh air. On the fantastic, it's a whole lot better than the MERV 13, and you've got extra dehumidification and fresh air, and you've got some indoor air quality testing. So out of these, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, I think you were mentioning that if I got the 5-stage, I'd have reheat dehumidification.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's probably going to allow me to punt on getting a ventilating dehumidifier. Is that correct? And
Yeah.
take my chances.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You'll just have to take chances. Remember, if we go with smaller equipment, it's going to be running longer and at a lower capacity, so there's a good chance that it can dehumidify. And if it doesn't do as well, then you can always put a ventilating dehumidifier in later.
Okay, so I think I want to do this best right here.
Okay.
I might like to add this Haven just so that I can track my indoor air quality, because if there are problems in the future, it'd be nice to be able to go back and tie it out. And you said that wasn't very expensive to add, was it?
No, it's about 1,000.
Okay, yeah. So let's do best with the Haven.
Okay, all right.
And so I guess we'll do the 5-stage.
Yeah, I think based on what we've talked about, the
I
five
mean, this is
stages.
just going to save me a little bit of energy, right? What's the difference?
Well, it's not just energy as much as it is the best one. It has a greater heating capacity, and what that means is that at lower temperatures, it keeps the heat that it's capable of doing way longer. And
Oh,
so,
so it's not going into strip heat on top of the heat pump.
right, that's one of the things you mentioned. And strip heat is fine to use. Everybody uses it anyways. But if you can get something that can go like that, the fantastic, it's a cold climate heat pump, and so it's going to maintain about 90% of its capacity all the way down to as low as 17 degrees.
Oh, so like if I lived in New York, this would be a much more attractive upgrade than it probably is here. And so now I just need to sort of make my decision.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Um, Either pay more now or pay a little bit more every winter.
Right.
Okay. I think I'm comfortable paying a little bit more every winter. I think this is probably going to dramatically impact, my bill's probably going to go down some anyway because this sounds like a much better piece of equipment than what I'm used to.
Yeah.
Would that be a fair guess?
That
I mean, I'm
is
just guessing.
that is a very good guess. And we're sort of guessing on the load calculation. So if we talk, we talked a little bit about the comfort console. All of this kind of stuff is setting you up for either it's going to work really well now, which that's sort of what we're thinking. And if it doesn't, then we can always do a comfort consult, and we can look at doing some other things to make it work really well. Either way, you're setting yourself up to work really well one way or the other. Since you're going to be here indefinitely, I think that you're making a great start by doing that system that you picked out with the the filtration and the fresh air and the haven.
Well, thank you, Reedie.
Yeah, awesome. I can't
I
believe
think
it's
we covered a
9:30.
lot of areas that where we can improve the questionnaire and the flow, and some areas where the software still has some bugs.
Mhm.
But it looks like it's getting better.
Yeah,
It seems to be holding changes.
yeah, that's right.
Tanner, any thoughts?
I thought it was good. I mean, I think it also just kind of shows that, I mean, when this whole thing was a what? A little bit less than an hour of a process.
Yes. Yes.
So then that kind of just goes to show time-wise what that looks like. It kind of goes to show, just all the different steps of it and everything. And yeah, I mean, I think it really highlights, the utility of it, especially, talking about the likely load range, utilizing the visuals to be able to kind of illustrate, okay, here's the differences in the different types of units. If you pick these higher end ones, you can it increases that range, like what you were talking about, the turning down and on the bottom end. Just really, utilizing the visuals to the best that they can be used.
Well, I felt like I was pretty rough because I don't do this. Unfortunately, Ben had 102 fever. He was going to be our guinea pig tonight. So thank you guys. You both. I think this was a good show tonight. This is
Yeah.
going to really
I
help
believe
people
so.
understand what the free quote looks and feels like.
Yes.
So, Reedie, your next step, now that you have a clear specification, would be to go to your bidding software,
Yeah, that's right.
and
And
then they would sign up and get the financing, and so you still have another hour.
no, I already make this stuff before I go in. I already, before I go in and show them that, because it only takes me, once I know the size, it only takes me, 15 minutes perhaps to make the proposal up.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
usually there. I'm usually there unless they just have a lot of questions, an hour. If they have a lot of questions, maybe an hour and a half.
Okay. And have you done your numbers for this year, for the first quarter?
I know I'm at 56% all total, free quotes, duct work, and comfort consults. I'm at $500,000. My average sale is 16,000. I don't know my average lead.
Well,
Average.
56% at 16,000, your revenue per lead has got to be 9 to 10 grand.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The last time I checked, I was at 8,800.
Okay. Okay. So that's starting to be pretty solid.
Yeah.
And are you doing many comfort consults?
I did one. I did one about a month. No, I'm sorry. It was in November. And I
Okay.
sold it. It's $50,000. I've done one since then, but it was really solely just so they could plan for the future.
Okay.
And I knew that going in, it wasn't nothing big. I had an opportunity to do one, but I sort of steered him away from it because the house is only 2 years old and he's been dealing with the builder. It's 1,300 square feet. They put 2.5 tons in it.
Oh,
And
geez. Single
it won't,
stage.
yeah, single stage, and it won't
Yeah.
dehumidify.
Yeah. Big surprise.
Yeah. So
Static pressure.
I didn't even do it. I talked to the guy. He said, I told him to have the people who put the air conditioning in come prove the load calculation and do duct static on it.
Oh,
And
okay. Okay.
yeah,
So you're helping him create a nightmare for them.
yeah,
People do this stuff wrong, and they run across an HVAC20 guy. There's going to be some coaching to the homeowner.
yeah, yeah. That's right.
You better responsibly avoid responsibility for the sizing,
Yeah,
or we're going to stuff it up your ass and make you
yeah.
own it.
Well, and he tried to get me, the homeowner, because he's just a homeowner.
He doesn't know what to do, right?
He doesn't have any idea. He tried to get me to say, "What size do you think?" And I said, I don't know. I said, if we looked at a
I'll do a
likely
comfort
load range,
consult for you if you
yeah,
really want.
that's what I told him. I said, likely load range, you're probably on the low end, you're probably going to be about a ton. On the high end, you're probably going to be 3. And I
Right.
said, if you want more exact, let's do a comfort consult. I'll do a blower door, get your energy use, and we'll come up with the load based on that. And
Likely load range is turning out to be amazing, isn't it?
it's powerful because you can, especially when you're in a situation like with this guy, because he encapsulated his crawl space, and that made it worse.
Right. Sure.
Because it reduced some of the duct loss, and so
And leakage, and like maybe there's moisture down there that they didn't solve.
yeah. Yeah, it's just it's a mess for him, and when he finds out if they're going to do something or not, he'll
He'll call you back.
yeah, he'll call us back. I've put us in a great position to be called back because I
Right.
haven't told him some line of junk just to get him to buy something from me,
Right. Right.
which I did. I offered him a ventilating dehumidifier, high efficiency filtration. if that's the way he wanted to go, I offered him a comfort consult, and I also offered him a little bit of knowledge. Go to the builder and tell him you want the manual J and the manual D and the duct static. And, we'll see.
And that's all by law where you are, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Right. So talking to Jason Cecil about how everybody's supposed to be pulling permits, he uses that permit thing to interesting effect.
Mhm.
If he doesn't get a sale, he'll follow to see if that's permitted.
Right.
Right. And he suspects others are doing the same. And I'm sure it drives the other guys nuts that they're bidding like $8,000 and $10,000 jobs, and they lose the job to him, and he sold something for 18,000.
Right.
Because and there's such value, I think, to educating the homeowner about the different types of installation options and equipment options that they have, because it goes from looking like a sort of stainless steel refrigerator to the variety of automobiles out there.
Right.
And a homeowner doesn't want to get the cheapest automobile. They want to get the nicest automobile they can afford.
Mm-hmm.
And so that comes down to building a specification. And when they go shopping for cars, they don't go looking for the cheapest. They go looking for their specification and
Right.
getting the best price on that. And so this allows the homeowner to, and it's nice too, because a lot of these HVAC guys, they don't know how to bid to a specification.
Right. All they know how to do is put in what's there.
Right. Right. So it disqualifies them, particularly after the fact. These guys see this process and you say, well, yeah, go ahead and call that. Oh, so that's the one thing I wanted to talk about. I'd like to do this move where if the homeowner says that they're going to probably make a decision next week, you can say to them, well, since I helped you build your ideal specification, can I ask you a favor? And then they're going to say yes, because this is obviously a very valuable service that you've just provided them for free. And so there's a little bit of reciprocity obligation there, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I'd like to do is when you're ready to make a decision, I'd like to bring out the quote.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is I want to be last. And what I've found is a lot of these guys will make their bid look like they're doing apples to apples, but they won't. And it's going to be helpful to me and to you for me to expose those guys so that we can take them out of the running. And then it's also helpful for me if I lose to somebody who has done a good apples to apples, for me to understand why I lost.
Right.
How does that, do you feel okay with that?
Yeah.
It's sort of a circle back to yes, no, no, maybes,
Mm-hmm.
which we took away during the comfort consult because I hated it. But I kind of like it here in this situation because it's soft. It's way softer to do it, projecting it next week versus doing it at the proposal.
Before I went to see my family, I had two people that called me in a sort of a small golf community. Right, they were literally right across the street one from another. One of them had the highest hopes in the world. Um, built his specification. It was on a free quote, and he. I asked him that. I said, "Listen," I said, he wanted the quote right then and there, but I said, "Will you at least let me know? Since we've taken the time to do this, what what your decision is, whether it's me or not." And he said, "Yes, I will." And then I went promptly across the street to the next door neighbor, and they signed the deal, got the finance, and backed out of the deal the very next day. And
Whoa.
the reason why is because their specification was shooting as high as they could, and then finding out that they really didn't want to part with that money. They were really okay with where it was. Both of them went with the same company, and we were at the 23,000, 24,000 range on both fresh air filtration, variable capacity equipment, and they went with single stage. So
Wow.
both of them did, both at $10,000 equipment. And so what that said is, what that told me is that it was great to hear, someone ask these questions. It was great to say someone asked those questions and give the answers. But when it came down to it, all they cared about is what they were spending, not really what they were telling me.
Did you do 3 reverses on price?
I did. I did after I found out. But by the time I found out, it was already done and over with.
Okay.
But I felt good about it because I did ask questions. What I didn't say is, let me give the quote last. They wanted that quote right then and there.
Right.
And I feel like if I'd have got the quote to them last, we still would have been higher. But at that point, there wouldn't have been somebody to swoop in and say, we're doing the same thing, only cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I asked them, are you sure this is what? Because the one lady said she has 31 documented indoor air quality illnesses, and that we had taken care of. We were taken care of. So I gave you everything you asked for. I know you did, but when
How would she ever be a victim if you solved all her problems? She couldn't be the victim anymore.
That's right. That's exactly right. And the one guy did call me, and he waited and waited and waited, and he called me. So I guess he thought about it. But the other one, the one with 31 documented things, she called the very next day. She got a proof of financing and everything. We were ready to roll.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'd add a $230,000 a month if it had if.
I'm sorry, Reedie.
That's
so
okay.
you're going to be using that move.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, I'm going to do this service where you get your ideal specification. You could take it to other people, and I'll email this to you so you can make sure. But I want to put the quote together last, because you may change your mind about certain things as you're talking to other people.
Yeah.
And I only want, and I want to quote to not just what your ideal specification is today, but what your ideal specification is next week when you decide you're ready to make a decision.
Right. Because that would have helped me, because she wouldn't even give us the lower equipment. She said the woman, she said she felt ashamed that she wasn't going to go with what she already told us she would. And I thought to myself, well, you should feel ashamed, all that work I did.
Yeah.
But
Sandler would say there was some more reversing needed somewhere.
Oh yeah, he would, and that's okay. I mean, I feel I put everything on the table that I could at the time that I had. They just there was just not enough, like you say, reversing to find out that they weren't really about what they said they were about. They were about the cost, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Because literally, it was single stage equipment that they were getting, that they ended up getting.
Did either of them have static issues?
Both of them did. The first one I went to, his static was quite a bit lower, but there was also a fat leak in his duct, and you
Okay.
could see where it was. And so his static was screwy one way or the other. Now her static was just a little high from what the manufacturer said would be the max. And the
Was she a VSC or an EC motor?
she's an EC motor.
Already. So she's going to probably be okay.
Right. And the thing that we were going to do was just like you say, we were going to enlarge the return, partially because of that, but also because of the filtration that we were putting on there.
Okay.
So, and then there was another good one that I ended up going to, and the guy, he's a contract lawyer. And he did it. He went ahead with it. It ended up being 25,000. He stuck with the same size though, because he said, "I'm not going down any size. I don't care." So okay, great. It was 4 tons. We ended up putting a greenspeed in there. He did have sort of high static. All he wanted us to do was enlarge the returns. We did that. Put that filtration system on there, and the static actually went down from 0.58 to 0.48.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was nice.
Tanner had a busy week. You want to tell us about that?
Well, nothing too exciting or anything to really share. Just been a bunch of busy stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
I
thought
got
you had a big night last Monday.
Tanner.
What was that?
I thought you had it wasn't a commercial, not working on one of those commercial jobs.
Oh no, it was just well, it was several things kind of just so happened to fall at once. It was some work stuff, and it was also getting ready to I was prepping for them to do my roof. They was having to replace my roof, and so it was just a bunch of things that all just kind of fell on the same day.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, so like I said, it was really just nothing exciting or anything, just a lot of busy stuff just kind of all coming in at the same time.
I'm just anxious to hear that the season's starting.
Yes.
Everybody seems to be a little bit. What were you going to say, Reedie? Sorry.
I was going to say, I was going to tell Tanner something. I went to a house today. A termite company tried to sell him a crawl space encapsulation. And, of course, our encapsulations are fairly expensive. And, I asked him why he wanted to do an encapsulation, and he told me he didn't know. That was what the termite company told him. He was calling me out there to, sort of talk him through it. And so the main reason he wanted to do that is because he has upstairs, downstairs, and the basement. It's a basement that goes right beside a crawl space. And as soon as you start going down the stairs, you can feel the humidity. And so, that's because he's got a 1.5 ton system on like 600 square feet, and it won't dehumidify. And so, I didn't even price the crawl space encapsulation because I know it's going to be exorbitant. I'm guessing it would have been about 15,000, and just for 800 square feet. And so I asked him, "What is it that you want? Do you want to dehumidify your crawl space, or do you want to dehumidify your house?" It's the house. So he had some problems in that crawl space because that stairs, they built a little sort of trough around it with cinder block, and they put tar on the one side, the crawl space side, and nothing on the other, in a slab of course, for the basement. And so, of course, if you do that, you've got to take care of everything. You can't just take care of one part. And I asked him, that's why, normally something like that probably would have been in the $12,000 to $13,000 range. But I asked him how much he wanted to spend. He goes, well, he didn't tell me, he's being cagey. And so the next thing was, what do you really want to do? Do you really want to dehumidify this? Because he only lives in the house for 5 months out of the year. The other, he's up in Minnesota.
Okay.
So what we ended up doing is we ended up putting a ventilating dehumidifier in there for the downstairs and the upstairs. And we're not tying it to either of the HVAC systems. We're just going to duct it, some up, some down, and put the control down there. Plus replace his dryer vent, $7,600. And I told him, if you want to encapsulate, yeah, you can do it. You can do it later on. And, we'll see. But, of course, you could do it right now if you wanted to as well. But, you just need to know you're going to spend some money. And he told me they were going to encapsulate that for around $4,000. And all they were going to do is put vapor barrier on the ground.
Yeah, that's an encapsulation, all right.
Yeah. So I said, that is not encapsulation. So,
Wow.
Congratulations. You paid $4,000 for a big garbage bag to be laid down in your crawl space.
Yeah. That guy, the new construction, the 2-year-old house that I was telling you about, he's going to talk to the builder. They did that to him. They put vapor barrier on the ground, not up the walls. They closed the foundation vents and a dehumidifier, $3,000, and it didn't do anything for him.
Yeah, well, no wonder.
Yeah, and because he's still got that 2.5 ton oversized system.
Yep.
And so who knows what he'll do, but at least he's got at least he'll call us if it's something like
Sounds like you sandlered him.
I did.
Sounds like you went deep on the questions because they didn't reconcile, and you're like, I don't like the sound of that.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. This and this guy's been our customer forever. Just at a different place. He moved to this place, and I was at his house probably in 2012. And we talked to him about his dryer vent, but somebody went in there and sold him I wish I could show you the picture. I don't have a way to do it, but somebody went and sold him a sump pump, and the piping isn't even connected. The outlet piping, they reduced it from 2.5 inches to 1.25 inches. It's bent and kinked, and the pit isn't even below grade. So, he's been jerked around. And, when we started talking, asking these questions, there's value in asking some questions. We didn't do the free quote because it wasn't about that. But, at some point in time, when it comes time to change his equipment, I've already planted a seed. Smaller equipment we can probably put in there. When it's all said and done, we can probably put in that house, instead of the 4 tons that he has now, we can probably end up putting like a 3 ton and covering him, basement and upstairs.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I got some comments here that were hidden because I had this window not showing. There's a guy with a taillight warranty that quoted $6,700 on a full heat pump system. I wonder if Ronnie lost that sale or not. Oh, calls him a client. Ronnie, I think, has already made his April quota.
Awesome.
Yeah. Jason.
Amen to that.
Thank you, Reedie. Thank you for staying up past your bedtime. I really, this is a good show. Thanks to you two guys. Oh, I think this we needed to do this show. We need to do more of this role playing and let other people come on and role play, because it does help us improve the process and the software, I think.
Yeah.
What else is? Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm going to bed, guys.
Some things.
I'll see you later.
Okay, Reedie. Thank you.
Yep.
Bye. See you, Reedie.
Love you guys.
I think you can ask the homeowner a favor if you're building them their ideal specification, don't you, Tanner?
Yeah. Well, I think it really comes down to are you giving them something in return? And I mean, I feel like with this report, you absolutely are.
You show them you're spending $10 on it if you're an a la carte member.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you're trying to ask them a favor of something when you've not provided anything or you don't plan on providing anything other than a, quote to try to get them to buy something, well, then that's not going to be the best play. But with this right here, if you're showing that, hey, I'm spending $10 on this report, or if you're just, going through the process, like it's going to be enough value to validate that.
Even just the questions, people are saying that the feedback is none of those other guys asked me any of those questions about me. And so I think people are understanding that you're actually providing them with a value add.
Yes.
It takes 3 90-degree days in a row for balls to the wall on the sales. But has it been warm down where you are? It's not been warm anywhere, has it?
It's not been 90 degrees, but it's gotten fairly warm down here. We've hit we've gotten up around 80 a few days, which right now it's fairly mild. I think it's probably the highs the past several days have been like 70, 75, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you, Tanner.
Yeah.
I
No
hope people
problem.
like this one. Anybody that watches to the end, please comment, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. Jason's saying, yeah. Right.
Yep. That is it.
Stuff's not starting.
Yep.
Jason Cecil went down to his beach house, and apparently all he did was push the contactor a bunch of times to free it up.
Yep. Especially if you don't have a heat pump. You have an AC that's been sitting there and hasn't ran in a while, and everybody's turning them on. Now's the time you find the problems.
Yeah. Yeah. His is a heat pump, but he's at the beach, so it gets all kinds of saltiness.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Well,
see you next week.
Yep. We will see you next week. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.